goodness for government. It gives us rule of law that keeps the peace, makes sure no one physically attacks you or steals your property. America needs that. But today, our government does much more than that. Government today runs trains, subways, schools, parks, public housing, welfare, Medicare, Social Security, a war on drugs. It provides water, sewer systems, snow removal, trash collection, ambulances. It subsidizes students, farmers, Indians, researchers, volunteers, small businessmen, rich businessmen, and performance artists.
I'm sorry, America!
It inspects fruit, pickles, mattresses, toys, cars, garage doors, and barbecue grills. It polices the world, suppresses vice, and puts opera on TV.
It's very nice to have classical music on PBS. I like it, I listen to it, I watch it.
But, says Chapman University philosophy professor Tibor Machan, it's wrong to make Americans pay for programs they may not want.
This is the politicians substituting their judgment for our judgment. Exactly what gives them that right?
We elected them to do that. It's democracy.
If you believed in democracy being that bloated, you could vote haircuts democratically, you could vote ties democratically, you can vote everything, marriages democratically. The founders tended to believe that government should be restricted, it should be limited to the function of securing our rights.
The Founding Fathers never talked about a government giving people things. They said it should have limited duties like running the post office, the courts, and printing money. For 150 years, that's about all it did. The focus was on guaranteeing liberty.
Liberty is too precious a thing to be buried in books, Miss Saunders.
When Mr. Smith came to Washington in the 30s, government was just beginning its explosive growth. Roosevelt's New Deal went beyond liberty. It promised people jobs, retirement benefits, health care.
Bill after bill pours into Congress from the White House. Whatever Roosevelt wants, he gets.
And every president since FDR, Democrat or Republican, signed on to this new idea of expanded government.
Strengthen the arts, fight teen pregnancy, prevent violence among young people, promote racial healing.
And we'll help all seniors afford prescription drugs.
Washington's become a kind of grab bag where people with demands line up in the streets.
Guarantee access to life-saving drugs.
And the lobbyists line up inside.
They see the system there, and they grab whatever they can from that system.
And who pays for it all?
Morning, Joe.
You do. Joe Taxpayer. These roofers in St. Louis have a brutal job, melting tar in 100-degree weather. Yet $1 out of every $3 they make doing this goes to the government.
Americans pay more in taxes than we do in food, clothing, and shelter combined.
Amity Schlaze wrote The Greedy Hand, a book about what the government takes from us. You'd be surprised at what it takes from you. For example, Bill and Mary Thurston of St. Louis pay taxes all the time, even when they're not aware of it. At 4 in the morning, when Bill's alarm goes off, they're already paying 5% to the county for electricity. Brushing his teeth, 2 taxes on the toothpaste. A sewer fee for this. And when he takes a shower...
There's water tax. Money goes down that drain, too.
To drive somewhere, the Thurstons pay taxes for his truck and her minivan. And when they buy gas, they pay much more. Work is where Americans pay most of our taxes. Bill's one of those roofers we saw earlier. And while he and the rest of the crew are out slopping tar, it takes 2 employees back at the company's offices just to calculate how much to withhold from their paychecks.
It's going to feel tight, okay?
Because Bill's wife Mary works as a nurse, the Thurstons pay a marriage tax.
Their marriage penalty bill is over $1,000.
Then there's the grocery tax, property tax, utility tax, 2 cable TV taxes, 7 taxes on the phone, and finally a sin tax.
43% of what Bill pays for that bottle of beer is taxes.
What this means is that Americans on average have to work until May of every year, 4 months, just to pay off your taxes. For 4 months you sweat, not for yourself, but to pay for all those benevolent government programs.
Government is never charitable, never generous, never benevolent, because what is involved in government giving is government taking.
Since government takes so much of your money, you'd think they'd be careful to keep track of it. But in fact, billions slip through the cracks. Maybe it's because the accounting process is so boring that few of us watch carefully. At these hearings, it's hard to stay awake.
These unique features justify moving the funding for these programs out from under the discretionary caps to the mandatory side.
What reporter wants to attend these dull hearings when we can focus on the really important news?
Did you have sexual relations with the president?
We focus on this while the government loses track of your tax money.
Mr. Lynn, can I ask you about this money?
We're doing a hearing, could I?
At this hearing, they're about to discuss a little problem at the Pentagon. Somehow, billions of your tax dollars are unaccounted for.
They may have it, they just don't know where it is.
David Walker heads the GAO, the part of the government that's supposed to keep track of taxpayers' money.
How can you not find billions of dollars?
If you saw how many systems that the Department of Defense had with the lines of code, you would know the answer to that question. It is mind-boggling.
Walker says the Pentagon has spent billions on things they can't find.
If they have it, but they don't know that they have it, they may buy it again.
The Pentagon has acknowledged discrepancies in accounting for more than $2 trillion. What if a private company kept its books that way? I asked that at a convention of accountants.
The Pentagon says for a decade it's been trying but failing to produce a credible financial statement. What would happen to your clients if they did that?
You wouldn't last very long in the business.
The SEC would shut them down as a public organization.
The company could go bankrupt, the investors would be all over them.
No private company could get away with this.
But we're not a private company.
There you have it. Government doesn't have to follow the same rules you have to follow. It just keeps spending and misplacing money, and you pay for it.